Hello, my name is George Mironescu and I co-lead the Accelerated Application Delivery Practice in Europe, looking at a series of domains including DevOps, application infrastructure, and IT delivery transformation and modernization. In the next couple of minutes, I will briefly talk about how we at IDC see the market context changing for mid-sized organizations in Europe and how the IT strategy is evolving for this important market segment of the European economy. The shift affecting the economic and competitive landscape in Europe and at global level are pressing mid-sized organizations to adapt their operating models and their technology foundations. Substantial gains in productivity and agility on the back of new digital technologies and new organizational designs will change the competitive landscape among mid-sized organizations with tremendous impact on cost competitiveness, speed to market, and customer service. In this context, mid-sized organizations are compelled to fundamentally rethink their IT delivery capability and the place IT takes within the business, or face the prospect of disappearing from the marketplace in the course of the decade. We at IDC believe that a successful IT strategy that's fit for the economics of the 2020s demands an operating model that's defined with cloud, containerization, open source, and automation. When defining the IT strategy and future IT investments, mid-sized organizations need to be mindful about the current technology challenges, most often holding back efforts to modernize IT delivery. We observe three main bottlenecks. First, it's integration into legacy application environments. 7 out of every 10 mid-sized organizations in Europe indicate they struggle to bridge their legacy IT estates with their modern digital assets. Then it's security, governance, and compliance, with 55% of mid-sized organizations in Europe citing these challenges when seeking to improve the competitive standing of their IT delivery. And third, it's the fragmentation and the heterogeneous nature of artifacts in the IT estate. Over 50% of mid-sized organizations struggle due to a poor presence of code and tooling standardization in their environments. We indicated earlier that the IT delivery of the 2020s will leverage the power of open frameworks. We see the mid-sized organizations in Europe looking to capture the energy and innovation taking place in open source. 6 out of every 10 organizations in Europe seek to benefit from the innovation emerging in open source communities. However, without external curation and support, most mid-sized organizations face a multitude of challenges related to community source software, including limited availability of know-how and skills to tackle technical complexities associated with securing the environment, managing updates and integration, and ensuring the IT landscape remains cohesive, dependable, and aligned to the defined IT roadmap. In fact, because of such challenges, only 1 in 4 organizations relies on self-supported open source today, while for most, the preferred route to open source is via an external technology partner experienced in this domain. Cloud is another foundational attribute of modern IT architecture. To address the complexity resulting from managing a heterogeneous IT landscape, organizations struggle around hybrid cloud underpinned by open systems. 44% of mid-sized organizations in Europe prioritize a hybrid cloud strategy to modernize their application delivery. And because open source is growing its role within the IT delivery, open systems are shaping the format of the cloud framework, where key considerations for selecting open systems include stability and reliability of the environment, security, and compatibility with differing architectures. Containers are another technology that is quickly becoming a defining dimension in the IT delivery blueprint. IDC predicts that within 4 years from now, 80% of all new applications hard-coded in Europe will be deployed in containers, where prime triggers for this rapid ramp-up in usage relate to improvements in speed of deployment, application consistency, and portability across various infrastructure environments. 22% of mid-sized organizations are already using containers within their IT delivery today, with another 22% already testing the technology. Finally, automation is a critical piece in order to raise productivity levels, speed up release cycles, and improve time to market. Close to half of the mid-sized organizations in Europe put automation at the top of their investment priorities list in 2020 in order to streamline their release pipelines. Key capabilities mid-sized companies seeking automation tooling relates to automation of container operations, handling of interactions with and incorporation of open code and open frameworks, and IT management across legacy and modern application environments. And with that, I would like to hand over to Red Hat.
Thank you, IDC. My name is Michele Cito, and in Red Hat, I'm responsible of the SAP business with cloud and service providers. And today, I would like to introduce to our audience how Red Hat can be the fuel for the SAP transformation in their journey. So let me walk you through what is going to be the agenda. I'm going to first give you a short introduction of the history of the relationship between Red Hat and SAP. And then I will move to show you how we can make the data center and the hybrid cloud more efficient for SAP customers, how the agile integration and the cloud-native development provided by Red Hat to SAP customers can become key in their strategic development of SAP, and how also Red Hat can power the innovative solution of SAP. So let me start with the relationship between Red Hat and SAP. The usual expectation is that the relationship between Red Hat and SAP is something quite recent, which is actually not true, because as a matter of fact, it started over 20 years ago. And as you can see from this timeline of the all joint project, it has very, very intensified in the last few years, to the point that the SAP executives are very recently starting endorsing our partnership in public events and in many situations. How is that coming, right? Because Red Hat is becoming more and more strategic in the overall SAP view and evolution in their technologies. And let me try and show you how. Okay. In the first place, what Red Hat does for SAP customers is what everyone would expect actually from Red Hat, which is making the data center more efficient and enabling the hybrid cloud story. And we do with what everyone thinks is the first product that comes to mind when we think Red Hat and SAP. But in truth, everyone thinks that the first relationship between Red Hat and SAP is actually based on Linux, which is absolutely true, because everyone is aware of the fact that starting from 2025, SAP is only going to support S/4HANA, which runs only on HANA, and HANA only runs on Linux. So the link between SAP and Linux is obviously very strong. But what Red Hat has done, it has created a full suite of products to manage not just the operating system, but the whole operation revolving around the operating system, right? And so the solution that we are proposing is a bundle that includes a lot of different solutions, the operating system itself, the high availability for continuous operability of the mission-critical application like SAP, and a predictive and proactive management for the patching, something on the same line on early watch of SAP that can help customers to significantly reduce their downtime and to predict possible issues in their instances that can be patched directly before the issue happens as well. And this is only the first step for this. As you can see, there are customers that have already benefited from this solution from Red Hat, like Molecular Health, which has reduced their overall usage of CPUs from 128 to 24, 30 CPUs for managing the same workload on HANA. But this is not all that we can offer to SAP customer in terms of optimization of their infrastructure. We also have a solution that is called Ansible, which is an automation solution that can help to provision, configure, orchestrate, and deploy in a continuous deliver model and secure and compliance way. Application and software that are not just provided by Red Hat, but can be provided also by other supplier, like in this case SAP. And what the solution does enable customers to entirely automate, for example, SAP customer to entirely automate the installation process of an HANA instance. And there are ready-to-use playbooks, which are the scripts that can be prepared for using the automation with Ansible that, for example, can fully automate the installation of the operating system of the HANA instance and doing all the post activities and validation. And to give you an idea of what is the power of the solution, I've personally seen this working on a public cloud environment, for example, in something like a couple of minutes while I was actually presenting to the audience. A solution architect was deploying this in a couple of minutes. And on-prem in general, the time to execution for a script like that is in the range of few minutes, 16 to 20 minutes in the average condition. And another example could be the utilization of automation in processes that can give like zero downtime maintenance scenario, where the criticality of the process is so high that you cannot take any chance in possible human mistakes and error. And so the automation process not just speeds up the deployment, but also reduces to zero the possibility of human mistaking the deployment itself. The solution is obviously a solution that can be used not only for SAP scenario, but in general for many different installations. And the benefit the customer can have are very, very high. Like here, there is a study done by IDC on an automotive scenario where it shows a 498% return on the investment on the utilization of Ansible. And here we also have a customer reference story from the very famous Swisscom that they confirmed that they have cut their service deployment time by 70% adopting Ansible. While the expectation of Red Hat in increasing the data center efficiency and enabling hybrid cloud is something very known and expected by most of the people, what is not really so expected is how Red Hat can really help in the strategic development of SAP future solution. And this is the example of the agile integration and cloud native development. So one of the biggest challenges for SAP customers is the fact that on average, more than 45% of applications in the SAP systems are custom. And this creates a very big stress for SAP customers, because every single time that they need to touch the SAP environment, they need to maintain all these customers. And this has been traditionally one of the highest, biggest component also of the total cost of ownership of SAP environment. So SAP rebuilding their application suite in S/4HANA have done something very brilliant with regard to the custom code. And they have created the concept of side-by-side extensibility. What is side-by-side extensibility? Effectively, SAP is saying to their customer, now that S/4HANA is a fully cloud-native application, we are able to manage the custom development outside S/4HANA and to integrate this through API with the S/4HANA. Effectively, SAP is telling to their customer, dear customer, you need to develop on a platform as a service in the logic of microservice development in an agile way. And this will allow you to significantly reduce your total cost of ownership, because when you will need to upgrade your system, you will no longer need to touch all the custom code, because if you've done side-by-side extensibility, your core, your digital core, as SAP call it, is going to be intact, and you can update it without touching your custom code. And also you can improve significantly your time to market with innovation, because all your custom development will be independent one from the other, and can be plugged in a very easy way onto the digital core, which is S/4HANA. And obviously, SAP, for doing that, proposed a platform which is called SAP Cloud Platform, offered by SAP itself, which is currently only available on SAP Cloud. And this has been historically quite a challenge for a lot of customers, that for many reasons they might not have a full cloud strategy on their plan. But nevertheless, SAP is telling to their customer, dear customer, if you're nowhere near to a full cloud strategy, you shouldn't wait in any case to the benefit of a side-by-side extensibility. And they are believing in this so much that in the first place, they have done something very important, and they have announced together with Red Hat and IBM what they call SAP Cloud Platform On-Premise Edition. The announcement has been done in TechEd 2019 in October last year, where we have jointly announced the availability of SAP Cloud Platform on-prem, exactly for the customers that they cannot benefit of the cloud version of SAP Cloud Platform. And the very important information is that this is a joint project where it's being publicly declared that the infrastructure that will run the SAP Cloud Platform is going to be a Red Hat OpenShift. The solution is going to be available, expected by Q2 of this year, 2020. So the question might be, what can do customers that they want to start their project now and they want to have the benefits before this platform is going to be available? And the second question is, SAP Cloud Platform is a very, very extensive platform. So the side-by-side extensibility is not just the use case for SAP Cloud Platform. There are many other use cases for SAP Cloud Platform. What if some customer want to have something lighter or want to have something earlier than the availability of SAP Cloud Platform on-prem edition? And for this very reason, together with the colleague of SAP and the IBM, what we have prepared is what we call SAP side-by-side extensibility powered by OpenShift, which is a much lighter version, has nothing to do with the full SAP Cloud Platform use case coverage, but it only focuses on the side-by-side extensibility and allows right now to use OpenShift as the platform where the customer, they can develop their side-by-side extension and integrate them through middleware Fuse and Triscale for the API management with the S/4HANA platform, and get all the benefits of side-by-side extensibility without waiting for the on-prem version, and the ability of deploying the solution wherever they want to deploy it, whether they want to have it on-prem or whether they want to have on local cloud provider or public cloud provider. And obviously, this brings all the benefit that you would have with side-by-side extensibility. So you can implement your functionality much faster. You can increase the adoption of SAP standard updates. You simplify the migration to cloud. And you have zero reworks wherever you need to move across deployment models. You don't need to have actual ABAP experience in order to develop on OpenShift, because you can use all the standard development languages available on OpenShift. And you can access just in time to all the functionality that needed from SAP through the secure connectivities provided by Triscale. Now, this is one very strong touch point between Red Hat and SAP. And this is not the only one, because as I was saying, in the relationship between SAP and Red Hat, the level of strategic agreement is going faster and faster. And SAP has decided to use some of our technology in order to implement their solution. Well, you probably know, if you're an SAP customer, that one of the biggest bet of SAP is with regard to big data, and specifically to the solution that they call SAP Data Hub. Well, it's probably not known to the most of you that SAP has made a very strong decision in terms of infrastructure on which a data hub can be deployed. And this is the official SAP note, where SAP communicates to their customers what are the supported platforms in order to run Data Hub. The first important information is that Data Hub is a fully containerized application and can only run into a Kubernetes container. And what are the certified platforms in order to run Data Hub? Well, there are the three big public cloud providers that have their platform certified for running Data Hub. There is Cisco Container Platform, which is mainly focused on the Cisco hardware-powered solution. And then there is Red Hat OpenShift and SUSE. So let me spend a couple of minutes to try to explain you what is the essential difference between the OpenShift from Red Hat offering and the rest of the competition offering. Okay. As I was saying, on the Cisco side, the Cisco Container Platform is mainly dedicated to Cisco hardware, so it's a very niche in the market, and probably you will need to deal with that if you make the choice of going on Cisco hardware. With regard to the public cloud provider, there is one significant difference that makes OpenShift standing out compared to the other three clouds. And the reason for this is the fact that in concept, if you have a containerized application, you can move the container cross-platform smoothly without having any other implication and without doing any migration. But when it comes to solutions like Data Hub, which are designed for keeping all the strategic data of a company, topics like security and how you deploy the infrastructure, how you make it redundant, how you make sure that the infrastructure is going to be constantly available, they become key to the application itself. So it's not just having availability of a container platform, but it's making sure that also all the logics, they make this container platform secure and redundant enough to running your mission critical workload will be implemented. So the truth is the platform that is running under is absolutely essential for the security of the environment itself. So what is making OpenShift different from, for example, Google Kubernetes Engine or Amazon Elastic Container Service? Well, what is making us completely unique compared to the competition is the fact that Google Kubernetes Engine can only run on Google cloud platform. And the same applies for the Amazon solution and the Microsoft solution itself. And this means that effectively, if you are starting running your Data Hub on Google Kubernetes Engine and you want to migrate your container onto Microsoft Azure, you will need to manage a migration project, at least to make sure that your logics for patching and the security logic and the redundancy logic will be compliant, and they will be different from what you are running. OpenShift is the only platform that is certified to run on every single public cloud provider, all of the listed above, and also all the local certified, what we call certified cloud and service providers, which are in the thousands of providers that are certified for running the platform. And OpenShift can also be implemented on-prem. And this will allow customers to have absolutely no tie and to be free to move without doing any migration, because the platform underneath can be moved across all the possible installations that you might want to have for your Data Hub. What about then the market recognition towards our solution? This is a Forrester study, which is analyzing what is the strategic positioning of container platform, no matter what is the technology of the container platform. And as you can see, Red Hat is on top of the ranking across all the measurements. So in terms of market presence, in terms of strategic thinking on the solution itself, and in terms of strength of the solution in the current point. If you narrow down this study to only the platforms that are certified to run SAP, you can see how the difference is stronger and stronger if we compare ourselves, for example, to the position of SUSE, which is the only provider that is mapped on this study. So, having said so, I think it's time to try and summarize what I'm trying to convey here during this presentation. And for doing this, what I would like to do is I would like to represent, compared to the mainstream and the main steps of an SAP customer journey, what are in the first place the activities that the customer needs to take into account in order to make the best of the transition, and then how Red Hat can support to that. So just trying to summarize what I was explaining in the previous slides. So in the first place, if you are a customer who is doing HANA migration, so you're at the very beginning of the journey with SAP, all you will need to have is a virtualization environment, an operating system. And if you want to import data that are coming from outside of SAP, something for managing the configuration. So it's conceptually a still very simple process. But the moment you move into a migration to S/4HANA, you will somehow need to, in order to make the best out of the migration to HANA, to tackle side-by-side extensibility. That means you need to take care of DevOps and an open integration as well. Now, we didn't spend much time due to the time available for this presentation to discuss about artificial intelligence and IoT through the Leonardo platform. But obviously, if you're doing artificial intelligence and you need to bring meaningful information to the artificial intelligence engine, to do that, you will need to do some microservice development and DevOps and open integration. Either if you do it through SAP Cloud Platform, but if you don't have SAP Cloud Platform, or if you have a very distributed scenario where SAP Cloud Platform cannot fully cover your bid, you will need to do it yourself. The same will apply for the big data in terms of how you feed information to your big data engine. And on top of that, you will need to have a container management platform to run Data Hub. And across all of this, there is a topic of automation that, as we've shown, can help not just in make your deployment quicker, but also to support some critical processes in order to avoid possible use. So let me show you how Red Hat can help you with that. Right? On the operating system, obviously, we have the suite that I was explaining in the very beginning, which is Red Hat Enterprise Linux for SAP solution. I didn't mention this once again for a matter of time, but if you need to virtualize and you want to save some money on your virtualization layer, we have a solution which is called Red Hat Virtualization, which is certified for running HANA workloads. And then, in order to tackle, for the automation, we have Red Hat Ansible, as I have explained in my presentation before. And then if you wanted to tackle all the other topics that we have discussed about, either if you're going in the direction of SAP Cloud Platform that, as I was saying, in the on-prem version is powered by OpenShift, or if you want to go for a lighter solution, OpenShift together with Fuse, which is our middleware solution that can be embedded into OpenShift itself, is essentially becoming what I call the glue around all the SAP journey for SAP customers. Having said so, what are the benefits then that Red Hat brings SAP customers? So we can help the customer to become faster and secure. We can increase availability and security. We can accelerate the innovation with the side-by-side extensibility. We free up budget with the virtualization and with automation. We can simplify operation with the continuous maintenance, with the automation and the hybrid cloud management. And we can smooth migration through a service that we have prepared for SAP customers and that I would like to introduce to you in a second, which is called the SAP Discovery Session. So this is something that we offer for free to our prospects and our customers with the goal of defining a strategy and identify the objective and needs in order to make the best of S/4HANA migration. Okay. How does it work? So it works with a one-day planning session when we ask to have attendees from both the operation and the application development of the SAP competence center at the customer side, and we'll bring our expert in order to provide to you a tailor-made approach in order to optimize your overall journey to the SAP operation. So with this, I finished my presentation, and I would like to open for the Q&A in case you have any questions with regard to. Okay, so let me look into the chat with the question and try to answer to all of them. Okay, the first question we have received is, can Ansible be used for other SAP scenarios? Well, yes, the answer is it is yes. We actually have a team in Red Hat which is currently working to release some template playbooks for other scenarios like the installation on Data Hub and so on. You can find them and you can use them free of charge in GitHub, but you can also create your own scenarios to automate other SAP scenarios. Now we have another question, which is, what differentiates Red Hat compares to SUSE for adoption of SAP Data Hub? Well, as I was trying to explain during the presentation, it is the maturity of the product, in our opinion, right? If you look at the Forrester study, but if you look in general in the market of container platform and Kubernetes container platform, OpenShift is definitely considered leader in the market itself, while SUSE in itself is pretty much not present in the market at all. Even if you look at the number of contribution to the project itself of Kubernetes, you would see that Red Hat is second in the contribution, and SUSE doesn't even appear in the list of contributors. So we believe we're much stronger, and the market is recognizing this to us. Okay, let me look. I just received another question. Ansible role for production is available for S/4HANA. I actually need to double check this. You can definitely create your own playbook. I'm not sure that as Red Hat we have released yet any template for S/4HANA. As I was saying, we are working in order to release templates. I specify that they are templates because obviously when you're installing such complex solution like SAP, you might need to do some tweaking in order to making them work with your own scenario. But you can definitely use the automation tool for the installation and for the post activities of S/4HANA as well. And but I don't believe we have released a template yet on S/4HANA. Let me check if there's any other question that I didn't answer. Okay, there is one question here. It is OpenShift certified for side-by-side extensibility? Okay, let me try and explain here. SAP requires certification when SAP software runs on top of a platform. So if we give the example of Linux, HANA runs on top of Linux. So in order to run compliantly HANA on Linux, you need to have your version of Linux certified. In the case of side-by-side extensibility, there is no SAP software running on top of the platform as a service on which you develop your application. The only component that links to S4HANA for side-by-side extensibility is the middleware. And as I was saying, this component in our landscape is called Fuse. And Fuse is certified by SAP as a certified middleware platform. So the answer is you don't need certification for OpenShift because there's no SAP software running on OpenShift. And for the integration part, Fuse, it is certified for doing so. Let me check if there's any other question. Okay. Another question is, can OpenShift side-by-side extensibility be hosted on a public cloud provider? Yes, I quickly mentioned this on during the presentation. You can deploy your OpenShift on public cloud provider. You can deploy it on certified cloud and service provider, which are local providers that have been certified by Red Hat for hosting Red Hat workloads. And you can actually also run it on-prem if you need. Okay, I don't see any other question that I haven't answered. Okay. In this case, I believe we can close the session. I thank you very much for attending the session, and you will receive an email with all the details. And if you have any question, you can reach out directly. Thank you very much, and have a great afternoon.